Well, Nick's doing some yeoman work here, lining up some good stuff here over the next few days. I mentioned Bruce Rasmussen's going to join me tomorrow. We're going to have a pretty in-depth conversation, not only about his time at Creighton as he steps down as athletic director after a lengthy, very successful career, but also with all of this craziness going on in college sports, with realignment, restructuring, maybe decentralization of power. I'll be very curious to hear his thoughts because he has been on the forefront of everything. I mean, from managing the basketball tournament to the hiring and firing of coaches, and he's been on a first-name basis with a lot of the principals who we've been talking about a lot here over the last couple of weeks. I'll really be curious to hear what Bruce has to say about that, so we're going to cover a lot of ground with him tomorrow. Also, we're going to preview Ole Miss in 25 teams. I wish we could have gotten Lane Kiffin, but he's a little busy right now. Also, Mike Schaefer will join us, another Mitch Holtis practice report, and more. That'll be coming up tomorrow. Also, I've made an executive decision. We've got these wishes for Rib Shack Smokehouse. We're giving away one of the vouchers today for $50. The other three, we're gonna bring back the Need to Get to 6 game. We were going to do that tomorrow, but with such a loaded card tomorrow, we're going to wait till Thursday. But be listening Thursday for the grand and glorious return of the Need to Get to 6 game and your chance to win $50 from Rib Shack Smokehouse at 108th and Q in Omaha. So we'll do that on Thursday. But here are some other headlines. Last night at the Olympics, Simone Biles came back and competed. Her final event, she earned bronze on the balance beam.
Hell yeah.
So she mentioned last night it wasn't easy pulling out of all those competitions. People thought it was easy, but physically and mentally I wasn't in the right headspace and didn't want to jeopardize my health and my safety because at the end of the day, it is not worth it. It's her 7th career Olympic medal. That's tied with Shannon Miller for the most in American gymnastics. Now think about that. And I know we're not going to get into the whole, mental health side of this and relitigate or litigate her decision. But for those who think that, she was doing it because she's selfish or she wasn't thinking of her teammates, she would have set the all-time Olympic record for an American female gymnast this year. She would have. She sacrificed that because she wasn't in the right headspace. She had the yips, the gymnastic yips, the twisties, as they call them. It's hard for me to just sit here and say, yeah, she's just soft. She can't handle it. I mean, we see it. The yips happen. They happen in every. I get them. I still say the Big Ten or the Big 12. I still call the Big 12 the Big 8 and the Big 10. I get confused. That's just mental blocks happen all the time. This one's a little bit different because she's flinging herself into the air, and if she's not in the right headspace, it's one thing to be corrected about saying Big 10, Big 12. It's another thing when you land on your ankle and you break it into 7 pieces. So I'm glad for her. She got a chance to at least compete, get one in, and I hope this story goes away soon. Speaking of the Olympics, Team USA overcame its coaching again and made it into the semifinals of the men's basketball tournament. Are we ready for a world where Kevin Durant is considered the greatest at something? I know KD's been getting a lot of grief. There's a lot of people that are out on KD for, some of the things he says and the way he behaves in the NBA. But he is making a case as the greatest American basketball Olympian of all time. And, he's been the leader. He has been the lead guy. Without him, the United States is not in this position. Had 29 points last night, 13 in the third quarter. It was tied at halftime, and the Americans pulled away and beat Spain.
Who else do we have on that team? Our team? It's KD.
Let's see, Draymond. Let's see, Rubio, Drew Holiday of the Bucks. Jason Tatum. So there you go.
Is that an Olympic team to you? Mr. NBA guy.
Well, I'm not Mr. NBA guy, but it's our Olympic team. It's not the dream team, but it was never going to be. It's never going to be the dream team again. The superstars aren't going to play anymore. I mean, the fact that Durant is playing is noteworthy.
Why is that?
Well, because the NBA's played they played a very long season last year and then a long season this year that got over later. And then they go over and they're flying over to. They're not obliged to do it. Listen, I'm not a KD fan, but I will tip my cap to these guys for going over and doing it. Because they would have had a very logical excuse to say, no, I'm not going to do this. Because, I got stuck in a bubble for 2 months last year, and then the season got pushed back, and it was longer this year. My team didn't win. He could have easily just taken his ball and gone home, and people would have probably criticized him, but he would have had a legitimate excuse. These guys have gone over and done it. So I say to them, good on them.
All right.
Good. Glad you see that. This isn't really sports related. I know, stick to sports. But it could be. And in fact, it kind of branches off into another conversation of a story that has just come down in the last few minutes. New York City is going to require proof of vaccination to attend indoor events. The new requirement goes into effect August 16th. It implies to indoor dining, working out in gyms, and indoor entertainment venues. So if you want to go to Madison Square Garden, or if you want to go to, I can't remember the name, the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, any indoor entertainment venue, a Broadway show, you have to show proof of vaccination starting in August.
Here's my main problem with this. The vaccination cards are too big to conveniently carry. And you can't laminate them.
I agree.
Why would they not just make them the same size as a credit card?
I agree.
Slip it right in your wallet. It's fine.
We're going to, you know what? Get used to wearing lanyards.
You know what they do in Canada, John? They get a little plastic card with a little QR code on it that anybody can scan, and then it pulls up an online version of their vaccine record.
Why didn't we do that?
Because we're not Canada.
Well, yeah, we're not Canada. We're America.
They have socialized health care. It's all in their systems.
Nothing to do with that. They were just more organized than we were. Plus, they have like a fifth less people, so it was easier for them to do. I don't know. But you're right. The cards are too big. Wear it in a lanyard. In fact...
Like our CWS passes?
I might even have it. I might still have it. Let's see if I still have it. Because I actually, being Mr. Super Duper Proactive guy, I take my lanyard out? Yeah, right here. There it is. College World Series lanyard, and on the back, dun, 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 my vaccination card.
Well done.
I took it with me because I didn't know. I didn't know that, a team would get sick and I'd be walking past their dugout and no one would have said a word, and then all of a sudden the game got canceled. But that's a whole other story. But that's something worth watching. Now, I said it branches off into something else. Garth Brooks' concert is a week from Saturday at Memorial Stadium. It will be the last show, or one of the last shows. Actually, it will be his last show before they reassess their upcoming tour dates. This story just came out about a half hour ago, but Garth Brooks, he's got a show at Arrowhead on August 7th and then Memorial Stadium in Lincoln on August 14th. And according to a statement from Brooks' team today, following the Nebraska show on the 14th, they're going to take a 3-week break. Well, they have a 3-week break already built in, but they are going to use that time to reassess whether they will continue with the remainder of their tour. They've got shows scheduled for the Seahawks Stadium in Seattle in September, stops in Cincinnati, Charlotte, Baltimore, and Boston. So the show in Lincoln could be his last for a while, depending on how they reassess the situation.
That's a sold-out show, too.
Yes.
Huh.
Yes. 80,000 plus for Garth Brooks.
Doesn't it seem cool that it felt like we were getting control of everything and then it just kind of swung back?
Yeah.
Right before football season, too.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I'm not going to say any more. I'll just let it hang. We'll go back to sports. Ohio State made an interesting announcement today in regards to NIL. According to a release from the Ohio State Athletic Department, student-athletes will have the ability to profit off of NIL and use Ohio State trademarks, whether it be jersey sales or other opportunities. According to the release, any student-athlete at Ohio State who voluntarily opts in to a group licensing agreement with TBG, which is the Brander Group, which is what Ohio State is marketing with, as Nebraska and Creighton have gone with Open Doors. TBG is the group that Ohio State is partnering with. If the student-athletes go into a group licensing agreement with TBG, they will then be able to use their NIL alongside and in conjunction with Ohio State trademarks and logos.
So they could put their face on an Ohio State T-shirt?
They could put their face on an Ohio State T-shirt. They could sell jerseys with their name on the back and a Buckeye on it.
Oh, good point.
They could do autograph signings where they could print out, poster cards that have them in their Ohio State uniforms. If you go back and you look at old, football cards from, the 70s, there will be, a card of, I'll use my favorite player, Vince Ferragamo with the Rams.
Mm-hmm.
And it says Vince Ferragamo, Rams, but you look at him and he's in an action photo, but the helmet logo is gone. It's just a blue helmet. And there's no marks that say this is a member of the LA Rams, other than it says he's a member of the Rams. They didn't have a licensing agreement with those NFL teams. The card company didn't. And thus you saw a lot of baseball and football cards where the players, you couldn't use the official logo and you had to scrub off the logo on the helmet. Well, now they have those agreements because of the NFL Players Association and the union and everything else. So this could allow for Ohio State trading cards where it shows a women's basketball player and it's got her Ohio State uniform on. She'd be able to use that.
I want college football trading cards.
Well, you can get Ohio State trading cards now.
Oh, okay, I'm in on that.
All right.
That's neat.
There you go. There's some other headlines of a stuff going on. We didn't even get to what would have been Josh's favorite story, and that is that Daniel Jones got involved in a brawl at Giants training camp and got pinned at the bottom of a pile and led to Joe Judge, the head coach, going on a swearing tirade. But we don't have time for that. But what we do have time for coming up, you got one wish for college football. What would that wish be? Keep sending them in, John at 1620thezone.com or JTech Construction Zone Twitter feed at USC 1620. We're going to pick one at random, win some Rib Shack Smokehouse $50 certificates. I'm going to give you three wishes that I came up with. I have narrowed it down to the one I would pick. That's coming up on 1620 The Zone.